Let's talk England and the 36-man training squad which Steve Borthwick has announced and which is getting together today already. They've been together tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and this is all building up to a week on Saturday, an England 15 against a France 15. Not a full-on test match, but a chance to try out some of the fringe players, some of whom could earn their self, and this is what it's all building up to, a place on the tour to Argentina. Yes, the British and Irish Lions is absolutely the number one this summer. But do not underestimate just how important that England-Argentina series is, because England are just fractionally below Argentina in the rankings. And with the World Cup draw happening before the end of this year, it's important. And that one place, positively or negatively, could be something that at the end of the 2027 Rugby World Cup, England and Argentina could be talking about as being a significant moment. So there's a lot on the line. Just ask Scotland from the last World Cup. They ended up getting stuck in that pool of death. So these things matter. So with that in mind, the previous squad which Steve Borthwick announced, and I'll go through the names that are there on the list. I'll go through who was there before, what the changes are, what the players are coming in. And it's important to point out, last time out there were no Bath or Northampton Saints players because both of those were involved in European finals. This time, because of the Premiership final, still no Bath players, but also no Leicester Tigers players. However, Northampton Saints players are able to come back in the mix. So it gives us a bit of an indication about which guys were there last time, just to kind of make up the numbers, which Northampton Saints have got a chance of being in the squad, and we can speculate on the Bath and Leicester players who will come back in. So without any further ado, let me just say firstly, before I get cracking, if you appreciate the content on the channel, please drop a little thumbs up on the video. It takes you no time, costs you no money, but really, really helps. I'm Tim, this is Egg Chasers, and support the channel because I'm even here on my holiday coming and nosing about rugby, because honestly, it's what I love to do. So there is the squad. Before I go through it, because it's hard to see it alphabetically, I'll go through it position by position in a minute. This is what the squad looked like last time, and there are quite a few players, as you can just see jumping straight off the page, who were there before and aren't there now. Some of whom because they play for Leicester Tigers, but a bunch, that's not the case. Joe Batley, I'm assuming he's injured, Bristol second row. Joe Hayes, Emeka Ilioni for Leicester Tigers, along with Freddie Stewart and Jack Van Portfleet. Leicester Tigers players not available. Asher Opoku for Jaw and Jamie George. I haven't even crossed Jamie George off that one. They're with the British and Irish Lions. We'll wait and see if those are permanent replacements or temporary. But Tobias Elliott drops out. That's just, I think he just had his day or two in camp and they had a look at him, and that's that. Harry Randall, an injury. And there you go. The rest of the players have been retained, but there are a bunch more who have been added. And so let's go through those. There is the squad, and you can see the new players I've highlighted there. From Northampton Saints, Trevor Davison, Manny Eogan, Curtis Langdon, Tom Lockett, Tom Pearson, Fraser Dingwall, Ollie Slightholme. So that's quite a chunk from Northampton Saints, and rightly so, with their exploits in the Champions Cup. George Kloska, obviously with some tight heads being taken away or involved in Premiership finals. He's in the squad. For how long, we'll wait and see. Charlie Bracken, the injury to Harry Randall, Jack Van Portfleet being in the Premiership final. You'd think that's just having a quick look at a potential future player. He's been really good for the under-21s. And Will Porter, scrum half, I wonder if he might be the next cab off the rank if Harry Randall, his injury is serious enough to keep him out of the summer, which it looks like it may well be. So going through that position by position, tell me if you disagree on any of these. So there are your three loosehead props. Delighted to see Manny Eogan. Convert from the back row. He's been getting better and better, and he's had some absolutely standout performances this season. Really pleased to see him in. The one big question, I guess, is after the Premiership final, Beno Abano. He has to be on the radar and he has to be in consideration. I'm going to suggest that Abano won't make it and Eogan will, but I could quite see that being flipped the other way around. I think it's important to point out that with Baxter, Rod and Eogan, you've got three really young loosehead props. Beno Abano, for prop years, he's what, 20, 28, 29? Coming into his prime years. So there's an argument that you take Beno Abano. I think it's been unfortunate not to be involved more in the past. So on to tight head prop. Obviously, Joe Hayes playing for Leicester in the Premiership. Asher Opoku for Jaw, call up to the British and Irish Lions. Seems to be a bit of an issue at tight head prop with the Lions when you look at the depth. Such a shame for Xander Fagerson. Tyg Furlong with injury issues. Finley Beelam's been called up. But when you look around at the next cab off the rank, it's quite a tricky one to pick out because there isn't any established high-quality tight heads. However, and this has been a problem position for England for a long time, and I think one of the features of the squad I would point out is that some of those problem positions, it seems like they're not there yet, and they're not the solution just yet, but there is green shoots, and pretty substantial green shoots coming in the form of Astropoku for Jaw and Afolabi for Sogbon. But without those two, Trevor Davison, who's worn an England jersey before, been really good for Northampton Saints, he comes in. George Kloska, that's probably the surprise name. I can imagine there's a lot of casual rugby fans that probably had to Google who he was to know what he looked like or anything. He looked pretty damn good in the Premiership semi-final last weekend. He's been really good for Bristol. And the cool thing about George Kloska, I'm sure I've seen him slotting at hooker a bunch of times, but really mobile, really lovely hands, which you kind of have to do to play at Bristol. So there you go. I suspect George Kloska is just keeping a seat warm for one of those other tight head props, Joe Hayes, presumably, to come back in, maybe Astropoku for Jaw as well. As for hooker, it was Gabe Ogray along with the two Saracens, Theo Dan and Jamie George before. Jamie George now with the British and Irish Lions. Curtis Langdon comes in, and that opens up the question, because if he's available and not with the British and Irish Lions, Jamie George is travelling. I would imagine they only take 3 hookers. It is only 3 rugby games they're playing after all. It's 2 against Argentina, 1 against the USA in July. So who drops out? I think Gabe Ogray is a wild player, so good. I'd probably take Curtis Langdon just over Gabe Ogray. But I think Gabe Ogray is that good that Theo Dan could drop out as well. But there you go. Decent options. This was last time out. It was Joe Batley, Arthur Clarke and Nick Ezekwe in the second row. And obviously there was no Alex Coles last time. There is Alex Coles this time. However, Joe Batley is out of the squad. And again, I haven't looked into it. I'm abroad, so I don't know. So I'm assuming, because he's been really good, that Joe Batley, that is an injury. But correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. And Tom Lockett comes in. Big old bruiser, been throwing his weight around for Northampton Saints against some of those giants of Champions Cup rugby. And he's been looking really good, so he's in the squad. But I would suggest he's just there as a placeholder for George Martin, who is with the squad rehabbing. Whether he's going to be available or not remains to be seen. The one player who could come in, who's from Bath or Leicester, obviously Ollie Chesham's going to be going away with the British and Irish Lions, so it won't be him. But Charlie Ewells, he's been around before, and do you know what? I'd sort of given up a little bit on Charlie Ewells because really, really good club player. Wasn't convinced he was kind of international class, and he had a bunch of brain fart moments. He was always giving away cards and things like that. He's had a really good year, and you have to be fair, he's had a really, really good year with Bath. He's led them brilliantly, so I would not rule out Charlie Ewells, classy player. And if he came in, it would be for Tom Lockett. But I think the other 3 look destined to get some rugby this summer. Back row, here we go. Stacked, absolutely stacked. No Tom Curry, obviously, no Henry Pollock, no Ben Earl. And these were the players picked last time. Obviously, Ilioni from Leicester Tigers, not available. And he drops out. Tom Pearson comes in. That looks like a kind of like-for-like replacement there. I think both of them might just be holding a spot for someone else, frankly, because also available very soon, 3 Bath players in the form of Ted Hill, got to be involved, Sam Underhill, got to be involved, Guy Pepper might be involved. So I think Tom Pearson, Richard Capstick, Ilioni, their time will come. They've been in the squad, they've got a feel for it, the coaches have had a chance to have a look at them. But England are so stacked there. And I think it'll be Tom Willis and Alex Donbrandt as the number 8s, Ben Curry and Sam Underhill as the 7s, Ted Hill and Chandler Cunningham South as the 6s. And that is immense when you consider the quality of the players that England have got to bring back into the fold. A whole back row's worth, Tom Curry, Henry Pollock, Ben Earl. I mean, wild talent. If one player survives out of those 6, in addition to those 6, and Steve Borthwick takes a 7th or an 8th, I wonder about Jack Kenningham, because he's kind of a 6.5. So that would be my best guess at the other player he would take, someone who could fit across the back row. But Guy Pepper, I think, has been brilliant. So I just wanted to make sure he got a mention. But man alive, there's going to be some good players left behind. Tell me what you think. That is the pack done. I'll give a thought about a potential best England team based on the players that will be available, if everyone is available, against Argentina. Scrum half. Harry Randall, hope his injury is not too bad. I haven't seen, again, I'm abroad, I'm checked in on the news. Jack Van Borthwick is playing in the Premiership final. So in the training squad this week, Will Porter comes in and Charlie Bracken as well. Jack Van Borthwick's going to be straight in and probably the first choice scrum half. Who goes alongside him remains to be seen. I think probably Charlie Bracken's spot gets taken. Hopefully Harry Randall's fit and then Steve Borthwick's got a bit of a choice to make. Rafi Quirk was not great in the Premiership semi-final. His upside is potentially so good, but he's not actually delivering. So we'll see. Fly half, Ford, Charlie Atkinson. I don't know who the next choice would be. I think, in all honesty, it would probably be, you could say Kieran O'Donoghue from Bath. Early days for him yet. I think George Furbank, if he was fit, would be a third option. Henry Slade even could be a third option. I don't think England need to take any more fly halves than that right now. George Ford on the cusp of 100 caps. Get in. So centre, last time out it was Marcy White, Northmore, Atkinson, Slade and Beard as the five, with obviously at the time there was no Northampton Saints players available, no Bath players, still no Bath players available, but Fraser Dingwall from Saints can come straight back in. He is in the squad. As for elsewhere, Max Ajomo is the player that I'd be looking at after the Premiership final to get added to this squad, and one of those players, maybe Northmore or Marcy White, to drop out. I want to see Ajomo or Seb Atkinson get a bit of game time at 12. I want to see them get some game time, even if it's against the USA. I just want to see them tour with England and be involved. And then the outside backs. So the last squad had fullbacks, Stewart and Carpenter, and four wingers, Roebuck, Tobias Elliott, Murley, Faye Waboso. Tobias Elliott drops out because he's replaced by Ollie Slightholme. Freddie Stewart is in the Premiership final, but you'd think as long as he's fit, he'll be back in the squad and available. And then after that, Ollie Hassel-Collins, Adam Radwan. Any other options? George Furbank, obviously, he's rehabbing with the squad. If he's fit, he'd definitely be involved. Could Ollie Hassel-Collins or Adam Radwan force their way in ahead of Murley, Faye Waboso, Roebuck or Slightholme? I'm going to say, like, Adam Radwan's finishes at the weekend were world class. Truly, those finishes were world class. And Ollie Hassel-Collins has been arguably the best form in the league in the Premiership this year. But those four, I think they're class, and I wouldn't change them. So I think that is your outside back options, and Ollie Hassel-Collins and Adam Radwan are going to have to sit and watch from the outside again, unless there's an injury, of course. Let me know if you disagree. As for a team, if it was at its strongest, and I'm assuming that George Furbank is not fit. I'm assuming that George Martin is not fit. Both of those would start. But without that, Finn Baxter, Jamie George, Joe Hayes is the strongest front row. We'll wait and see on Jamie George and the British and Irish Lions thing, if that's just a one-off. I've put Chandler Cunningham South in the second row. If George Martin was fit, it would obviously be him. Maybe you think it should be Arthur Clarke. We saw it in Wales, against Wales for 50 minutes. And I just want to get Ted Hill in the team. Maybe Ted Hill on the bench would work as well, but there you go. And I've gone for Ted Hill, Ben Curry, Tom Willis. You could arguably go double 7 like England did a couple of times, and in that case it would be Sam Underhill starting and Ted Hill on the bench. I haven't got a problem with any of that because they're all really, really good players. Jack Van Portfleet and George Ford is your first choice half-back pairing. Centres, I've gone Dingwall and Slade. I know a lot of people will sigh at Henry Slade. He's a great rugby player. He's been there and done it. These games against Argentina are really important, and I would rather have someone like Seb Atkinson on the bench coming in, playing 30 minutes in his first international, proper, full-on international, and hitting the ground running for half an hour, than lose a game rolling the dice, putting in too many new faces. Roebuck and Stewart, but I could be argued around to picking slightly more ambitious, untested backline players, because England have got a lot of really good ones. They're in a good place, I think. And I'm really, really enthusiastic about what this summer holds for England whilst the British and Irish Lions is going on. It is a perfect opportunity to spread the net a little bit wider, fill those spots that are vacated by the, 13 English Lions? And as I keep saying, for all the negativity that's been around this England team over the recent years and about Steve Borthwick, it is one of the youngest squads in world rugby. And come World Cup time, they always manage to find a way to be really difficult to beat. They can just add a little bit of crispness and attacking quality on top. And that's one thing I'm really excited about. I should have said Lee Blackett involved with the England squad. I'm excited to see what he can do with England's backline in attack, because at Wasps, and he's done it a bit at Scarlets, but more recently at Bath, been looking good. So we will see. That's my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments down below, and I will see you on the next video.